Hello there, right here we have a brand new snapshot for the Caves and Cliffs update. This is 1.17 snapshot 21W16A, and with it comes new ways to obtain more items and survivals as well as sneak peeks of the second part of the cave update. And please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the crazy machines and farms I've designed for 1.17. The first big change that they added is that now you can take the azalea bush and plant it down and then use bone meal on it, and this will turn it into an azalea tree. This is how we can now get the azalea leaves as well as the flowering variation of it. And the trunk is made out of the normal oak log. And if you break down the leaves, there's a chance that you'll get more azalea bushes of either type, or you can also get the sticks from these guys. And using shears is how you get the new items. They also have another new feature, which is a pointed dripstone can now grow all on its own. But it doesn't just happen to any dripstone that's hanging up. It has to be one that has dripstone block that's attached to and has a water source above it. So it's actually really dripping. And it will also grow any pointed dripstone that is on the bottom. The stalagmites as well as the stalagmites will both grow in this situation. Now, they said that the growth speed is random and very slow. A single growth step can take several Minecraft days. This is kind of mimicking how it is in real life, where it takes a long time for them to make any progress. Also, the stalactite will only grow up to 7 blocks long. And this guy will only grow the lower piece if they're within 10 blocks. And if this guy is waterlogged, he won't drip and therefore he won't grow. Same thing applies for this one. If he is in water, then this guy won't grow because he can't take in any of the drips. And same thing applies if there's any fluid in between these, because then the drips will prevent them from reaching the one down below. And either of these guys will not grow any farther than they can, so they won't grow through like blocks and they won't go through any liquid, so they'll stop right there. That means we can design new tree farms for the azalea leaves as well as a new pointed dripstone farm, which I actually already designed one ahead of time. But be sure to join my Twitch stream after watching this video, where I have a open world where everybody can hop on with me as we design up cool inventions and farms with these new features. And you can find the IP to that on my Discord. They also changed the texture of the new raw ores as well as the raw ore blocks. So for the iron one, it seemed like they made the block texture have a lot smaller pieces inside of it. And for the gold one, they made the gold not so prominent, so it's not so eye-popping. They also changed the items images, made it more like free-flowing. Now, since we're not actually getting the major cave changes in the first part of the cave update, we won't be seeing them in the snapshot, but they do have a data pack where you can get the deep cave generation. And they made some tweaks to this data pack. One of them being that if there is an aquifer full of water and it's below Y level 0, it has a chance of being full of lava. This is going to make scuba diving for ores a lot harder because it's harder to see inside of lava, even with the appropriate gear. They also added in ore veins, which now spawn underground. Ore veins are large, rare, and snake-like underground ore formations. Now, the copper veins form above Y level 0 and are mixed in with granite. The iron veins are below Y level 0 and are mixed in with the tough block. Now, they fix a problem to do with resource packs on servers, and we've seen this on our testing world, where if you would decline to use a new resource pack on a server, it would just kick you from the server. They also tweaked the playtime statistic and added one called Time with World Open, which includes time where the game is paused. There's also quite a few bug fixes and tweaks and changes made to the game. Let's go over those. There was a problem that mobs were pathfinding into cauldrons with lava, and now they will try to avoid these. In the last snapshot, the baby axolotl's suffocation location, which is red line, was too hot. You can see how he could suffocate without actually colliding into blocks, meaning that if he crawled underneath something, he would eventually die. That has been changed. They fixed it so lichen will no longer generate in water that isn't part of a cave. And they fixed it so that lichen doesn't use the same color as vines when looked at by maps. There's also a problem that saplings could be placed onto moss, but bone milling them would not allow them to grow, and would just consume all your bone meal. And now you can see that trees will grow on top of the moss block. There was a file in Minecraft called root vine head, which isn't actually being used, so they removed it. With the new lush caves, there is a tag in the top right saying lush underground replacement, and this allows the new lush stuff to replace these blocks, but some blocks, such as variations of dirt, didn't have this, but now will. I showed a little trick where mobs are able to spawn on top of azalea bushes But apparently they didn't want that because now they changed it so they won't. They also changed so moss doesn't require air above it in order to spread. Looks like it still doesn't spread into areas that have stuff like a torch. Maybe they'll tweak that. There was a chance that anvils would get damaged just by falling a single block, which was something that just happened to be a problem since they added the dripstone, which has similar properties. They fixed this bug where azalea trees would be placed inside of water even if they were submerged. Recently there's been some problems with fishing line, and they fixed another bug with it, which was the line would get disconnected from the reel. They fixed this bug that I showed a few times, which is the big drip leaf, when it's bone milled in water, will keep the properties of where it was. So if I bone mill this bottom piece, it's going to make the next piece water. And yeah, it just keeps replicating the piece below it. So now we should no longer do that. They fixed some problems with shaders and fonts. Fix a bug so that copper that generates down here by the deep slate has a chance of being a deep slate copper, meaning that it's possible to get this new block in survival, when before it was only in creative. This also applies to coal that is near deep slate, can be deep slate coal, another new block, and there is a chance of emeralds generating down this low inside of mountain biomes. So very, very rarely should you be able to find one of these. This is great because that means we got some new blocks to obtain in survival that are going to be quite rare, especially the emeralds. And we can use silk touch block quarries like we've done in the past to obtain ores in their silk touch form, all while doing it automatically and AFK. And they also fixed a problem with the emeralds where they were generating kind of high up instead of generating like they used to do in 1.16. That's back to from Y level 4 up to 31 you can find them. Another bug that was fixed was the one where mobs that had the glowing effect, when the time would go up, the effect wouldn't go away, and now it should. The TP command wasn't working like before, and they reverted it, so it does. There was a problem that the axolotl and the glow squid were spawning inside of monuments. Grass blocks also didn't have the hashtag dirt tag, which you can use to look up different groups of similar blocks. Slime blocks and honey blocks, when placed a whole bunch of them, weren't rendering very well and would crash the game. And that has been fixed by them. There was a bug if you had loyalty on a trident, and if you throw it, it doesn't actually go back into the player's inventory, but is just lost forever. And that is fixed now. So now when you throw a loyalty enchanted trident, you'll see it does come back, and it will stay with you until you have room in your inventory. It's kind of like a pet in the meantime. In my video where I cover how to obtain all the new items in 1.17, showed it wasn't possible to get the azalea leaves. They fixed that problem. Now you're able to bone mill the azalea bush for the azalea trees and the leaves, similar to how it is in Bedrock. This stat, play 1 minute, despite its name, was actually adding values every tick. There's also a problem that the statistics screen wasn't updating properly. The stat that records firework rockets wasn't recording rockets that were used when flying with Elytra. When it comes to getting different advancements and recipes, they weren't actually given to the player if you have any GUI open. The stat used Minecraft Elytra wasn't functioning, and now it should. The stats for using a debug stick were going up even in situations where it wasn't actually in use. Any food that could be planted was counting as the player using it, instead of counting only when the player would eat it. Lighting TNT wasn't counted in statistics, now it is. The frozen state that you get wasn't going away on servers after death. Cobwebs in mine shafts can generate as if supported by chains. They resolved the issue that you can't actually change the rotation of infested deep slate like you can with a normal deep slate. You can see I turned it sideways. It also have its rotation randomized just like other blocks. And they fixed the problem when silverfish would jump into the deep slate block, it would automatically rotate it. The placing candle statistic wasn't actually going up when placing down candles, now it should. They also fixed quite a few other bugs to do with statistics, glow ink applied to signs, ink applied to signs, dye applied to signs, buckets used on cauldrons, glass bottles used on cauldrons, bottles used on honey, shears used on pumpkins, shears used on beehives. So a lot more of the stats should be properly kept track of. Now that we can obtain the 2 different types of azalea leaves, and we can also farm up the pointed dripstone, it does seem like getting very close to the final release of Cave Update Part 1. But one item we still can't get in survival is the Spore Blossom. Typically you find this naturally inside of lush caves. So we'll see if they'll give us a way to obtain these, otherwise we'll have to wait for the second part of Cave Update, which may be called 1.18. I'm really excited to see the first part released, because quite a few of the farms I've designed will be possible in that version, even though we don't have skulk sensors yet. Don't forget to leave a like on the video as well as share with others so they can learn about the cool things coming with 1.17. Make sure to hop over to my Twitch channel, link down below. You guys can join me as we discover all the cool things possible with the newest changes. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys over at my Twitch channel. Bye-bye!